it will be hot, so be careful with your fingers. Wear some good plastic gloves like this, surgical gloves, protective fingers. Thank you guys for tuning in to StreetMotoZ. Please like this video and subscribe. And don't forget to push the bell so you'll be reminded of the next video that comes out from StreetMotoZ. Hey guys, we're going to be changing the oil on a 2023 Ninja 650 today. I'm going to be following the owner's manual, so all the things that I do today are going to be dictated by the owner's manual. The 2023 Kawasaki Ninja 650 owner's manual recommends changing the oil after the first 600 miles and every 7,000 miles after that. I'm going to be performing this oil change at 5,600 miles, so 5,000 miles after the first oil change. Here's the oil change kit I'll be using. I've decided to use the Kawasaki brand oil and the Kawasaki filter. The reason I did this is because Kawasaki builds their oil specifically for the engines. There's a certain formula they use, and nobody else uses that same formula. So I'm going with Kawasaki. I've got 10W40 full synthetic, 2 quarts. I've got a crush washer. I'm going to replace the crush washer that's already on there. And then I have a Kawasaki oil filter, which is 16097-0008. These are the tools I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using a 4mm Allen wrench, a small screwdriver for getting the little plastic components out, an oil filter socket to get the oil filter off, a ratchet, 17mm socket, a torque wrench, a funnel with a small ending, a rag, and some surgical gloves. In this video, I'm going to go through 12 steps to change the oil. The first step is to bring the bike perpendicular to the ground. So I'm going to do that with these bike stands. Step 2 is to warm the engine up thoroughly. Is now thoroughly warmed up. It's at about 215 degrees. I'm going to turn the engine off, and then I'm going to remove the fairing. I'm going to use this 4mm Allen wrench and remove the bottom part of the fairing, and then remove the oil bolt. Now the oil might be hot. Well, it will be hot, so be careful with your fingers. Wear some good plastic gloves like this, surgical gloves, protective fingers. You see the crush washer on the bolt. We need to take this crush washer off. It has already been used. It doesn't have any life left in it. Some people reuse these, but I already have one to replace it, so I'm going to put a fresh crush washer on this bolt. While this side is draining, I'm going to go to the other side of the motorcycle and take off the oil filter. We have a fairing bolt here to release. Again, that's 4mm Allen wrench. There's a plastic clip right here. There's a center part of the plastic clip and an outer part. What you want to do is use a small screwdriver like this to pop the center out. There'll be an access point on either side of the clip. There's one right here. So I'm going to pull the center part out first. Once the center comes out, the whole clip should come out nice and easy. There it is. And there is one more plastic clip under here that also has a center piece that needs to come out first, but there's no way to grab it from here. You have to push it from the top. So I'm going to push it. You can feel it right here. Be careful, the exhaust pipes are warm. I'm going to just push it with something flat. There we go, and it popped. Once it pushed out, it popped open. So you can see how that comes out. Normally it's in like that. I push down on the top of that and then pull the plastic insert out. Once that's opened, you can get to the oil filter. So you can see the oil filter right under here. And I'm going to use this tool to unscrew the oil filter, at least to get it started. Again, this engine is real hot, so be careful with your hands. Once the oil filter and oil plug are removed, you let all the oil drain and drip out of the engine. I'll let this part take at least an hour because it takes a while for a lot of that oil to come out. Step 7 is wipe clean all the oil. So step 7, wipe the oil in the area. We'll go ahead and install the drain bolt, step 8. And we're going to tighten it. It needs to be tightened to 30 Newton meters or 22 foot-pounds. 30 Newton meters. All right, and we've got the new crush washer on there also. So that's been tightened to 30 Newton meters. Step 7, wipe off all of the old oil, any sand, dust, or anything you can find where the oil filter is supposed to go. And install the oil filter. Put some fresh oil here on the oil filter, around the O-ring, on the thread, and spin on the oil filter. I like to hand tighten it as tight as I can do it by hand. All right. Part of step 9, after you install the oil filter, you want to put all your fairings back on. Got one bolt here. You don't want to crank on it, but you want to get it snug. So install the plastic button. I'm going to insert this plastic button like this and then push this middle component inward to lock it in place. And then this plastic button, I'm going to insert it. Once it's inserted, then I'm going to push the center component. Now on the left side of the motorcycle, I'm going to install the bolt for the fairing. Again, we don't want it to be too tight, but we do want it to be snug. Now for step 10, we're going to fill the engine. Here's where the oil goes, and here is your glass indicator. We're going to fill it. You'll see 2 marks here. We're going to fill it to the upper mark line. And when you put oil in your Kawasaki, the owner's manual says to not add any additives. The owner's manual says that the Kawasaki Ninja 650 takes 1.9 quarts of oil if you change the oil filter. I would always change the oil filter every time you change the oil. Here's the first quart. And the second quart. I put about 1 1/3 quarts of oil in it, and it's to the top line. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start the engine and get the oil circulating in the engine some, and then turn the engine right back off. Put the cap back on before doing this. All right, and you see the oil drop down to the lower line, so we're going to keep filling. And what that did, I believe, is it pulled oil into the engine, into the different components of the engine and transmission. It's important to use the right oil in your motorcycle because this oil has specific properties in it for your clutch. Automobile clutches are dry. They are not oiled. But these motorcycle clutches are oiled, and there has to be specific properties in this oil. You see here it says service category SN JASO MA2 engine oil. So that's for your wet clutch of your motorcycle. All right, and that's 2 quarts. 1.9. So step 11 is start the engine and let it run for 1 minute. Last but not least, update the maintenance log. This is the maintenance log I have for the Ninja 650. So at 5,604 miles on 4/9/24, changed oil and oil filter. Well, that's it. You've now changed your oil. Hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe. And remember, it's not about the destination, it's about the ride, baby.